What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheets-Haber. We are going to be doing the NBA breakdown for this monster slate on Friday. Going to play pretty big tonight. Pretty excited about it.
Let's go. All right,
I'm ready to get it. Sheets, what are your thoughts? I know you had some unfortunate little finish to last night because you had some good things. Let us know about that, and then let's jump into tonight's slate.
Yeah. So again, I had a couple of good plays. Let's put it that way on FanDuel, and I was kind of set up really nicely for that last game. But the Phoenix Golden State game, but they just in a way it's good because like everybody busted. You know what I mean? Like it's and I stacked them all, which is good. In other words, like if it's not like I picked like the wrong guy, like they all didn't get there. So
right.
So that's that. But today is a Monster Friday slate, and there's probably going to be a monster bit of news. And I'm not going out tonight for dinner, so I will be able to be around for it. So I will be ready to go. Oh, let me share my screen. Get a shell up there. Where am I? Here.
So yeah, we'll get to it. Yeah, this is a really interesting slate because I don't. And my initial look, I mean, obviously we're going to have news that comes up. I see it pretty spread out, in terms of the top plays on, especially the spend ups, because they are legitimately on DraftKings. Every single player is underpriced, basically, pretty much. There's ways we can try and combat it. We'll get into it, but sort of before we jump into game by game, is there like an overall? Is there something that you feel differently about, that maybe there's an overall, like, not lock, but you know how I feel about locks, but near lock type of play? I mean, we have a lot of information to wait on, but
yeah, there is a lot of information to wait on. But there is definitely one game that
yes,
that me and the rest of the universe are gonna like.
And on DraftKings, not just because we love the game, right? Like we like the game, right? But we don't love it. I don't know. It's me. In terms of the actual game, like if it was price is the reason we like the game, right?
I don't know. We'll get there. I think for me, it's kind of an obvious one. So we'll see what happens when we get there.
Oh yeah, I think we're on the same game. I don't think we're talking about something different.
Okay.
All right, so let's jump into it. Let's get off with Indiana and Charlotte. I guess I'll jump off with Indiana. I don't have a ton of interest in this, but I really like Sabonis on FanDuel, and I think he's fine on DraftKings too. There's just everybody's underpriced everybody's higher priced on FanDuel, and he's lower priced. And so that's sort of my reasoning. I do like Jeremy Lamb going back to Charlotte. He gets his shots up, man, and I don't like him as much with Sabonis. He didn't play as much the other night, but he's a wild card GPP play maybe, but definitely like gets 30 here plenty of the time. So I like Jeremy Lamb. Other than that, I don't really think I'm playing anybody in Indiana. I'm talking about like maybe 15 to 20% Jeremy Lamb, maybe like 15 to 25% Sabonis on DraftKings, maybe like 5% Brogdon. That's pretty much where I am on these guys.
You want to do Charlotte too?
Sure. On the Charlotte side, it's like Zeller's going to be popular. They did seem like, one thing we haven't seen him get before is usually above that 22-minute mark, especially while Biyombo's healthy. And he did, and he played well. He, had a double-double, which is what got him, that got him there really. He had the 14 rebounds. It's the same matchup. It's obviously not a good matchup, but they do play big. So there's chances for him to be out there a little longer with PJ Washington rather than Washington playing the center because they have two bigs. So I do think that I have some interest in Zeller. I want to see where the ownership lands on him. I know he's going to come across as being the best play. There's a lot of good center options, a lot of good, well-priced guys here. So I have interest in Zeller, but I don't know where I'm going to end up with him at this moment of the day because of the other value to open up. I think might be better. Gordon Hayward is, I love him.
Get a little closer. I think your hand's on the speaker.
Gordon Hayward, I absolutely love.
Okay.
And then, like my 5 to 10% LaMelo rule, and he's too cheap. And I understand with Zeller back, it actually does take away from some of his minutes. But he and Miles Bridges, I would have like just on large field stuff, maybe 5 to 10% or so.
And you don't like Sabonis today?
I like Sabonis.
Oh, okay.
I said 15% or 15 to 20 on DraftKings and maybe like 25 to 35 on FanDuel. He doesn't stand out on DraftKings as much because if you play him, like it is a great matchup. Power forwards against Charlotte have just been crushing them. And Sabonis is pretty, he's almost always good in these situations unless he gets in foul trouble. The only problem is it's not just him versus Randall. It's like there's a bunch of other guys that are cheaper. You could play, we'll get into that one, obviously, DeMar DeRozan at 6,800 at power forward. You know what I mean? There's a lot of misprices, and Sabonis doesn't stand out to me as a misprice, but an accurate price.
So piggybacking off of a conversation we had on the slate a couple of days ago, talked about this, and who was it between? It was between Whiteside and somebody. And I was talking about how one guy would be a safer play because of actually it was more like Giles, right? It was Giles as opposed to somebody else at 3,300 or something.
Yeah.
One, I forget which one it was, but one of them I consider a safer play because of the minutes, but the other one, like Giles, I think I characterize as more of, or maybe it was Whiteside, I characterize as more of a ceiling play for GPPs.
Yeah, it was Whiteside. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I kind of think the exact same thing today. I feel as though Zeller is the safer play, especially if he's starting. But quite frankly, I would rather play someone like Whiteside at 3K if I'm gonna do that. And this is something I don't talk about as much as I swore I was going to, in the types of tournaments where I need stuff like that, right? I think Zeller is certainly a play that you can make in single entry. I think it's also a play you can make in MME if the rest of your lineup is going to have, big upside and low ownership, whatever it is. But I don't think Zeller particularly excites me to get 40 fantasy points, right? And we talked about him before, like when he came back, I think his first game back, I was suggesting, maybe we play him at 3,300. And you're like, well, I mean, even if he does play, I mean, like, what's he really going to do? It's not like he's that great. And even when he's totally healthy, I mean, what's he going to, sometimes he doesn't even close, right?
Who are we talking about?
Zeller.
Oh, Zeller, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when his first game back a few days ago, I was saying, maybe I'll play him at 3,500 or something. And even if he plays, I mean, like, he's not that, it's not that terrific.
Yeah, and he wasn't starting. And even when he was not starting yesterday or the day before, even though he seemed like a smash play afterwards and he put 37 and he played 30 minutes, he doesn't play those minutes normally. Now, they did sort of show their cards in a sense by the fact that they're going to play him, that they would play him that much. And this is the same matchup.
Yeah.
But I do think that you have to be expecting with him, there is a path where, again, I always mention this with big guys, you could always get in foul trouble, and Biyombo might play well off the bench and get more minutes. Like Biyombo might actually be he's not a guy you're going to play, but he might. There's a very a reasonable chance that he even out minutes Zeller tonight. It's no lock that Zeller is going to be out there for 30 minutes or 26 to 30 minutes. It could easily be 20 to 22. Sorry.
With respect to Charlotte, respect to the other guys, I mean, I agree with you with respect to, if I was going to play someone else from Charlotte, it would be Hayward. I don't think I'll get to anybody else. And to be honest, I mean, he's fine for me, but he's not he's not going to be my top owned guy. He's definitely in my player pool, and he'll definitely make it into some lineups depending on how many I play. And he's definitely my favorite Charlotte guy, probably. I guess Zeller or whatever. But I don't think I would go anywhere else. I will say that at some point, LaMelo is going to smash again. Yes. I don't know exactly when or where or how or who or why, but we were kind of not playing with 7K, but at 50, whatever he is now, I mean, he's it's very possible. So I don't know if this is the slate to do it, but I just kind of throw that out there.
Yeah, the Morris brothers didn't work. Maybe tonight we played the Ball brothers.
That's really funny.
Marcus, by the way, Marcus, the less likely one to work, actually worked out better.
That's true. And with respect to Indiana, I think Sabonis is my kind of.
He's such your guy.
Is kind of my guy for Indiana.
Such a Sheets guy.
What's that?
He's such a Sheets guy.
Yeah, I guess.
No, just because, he just when the price looks like this, I know your mind just goes like, well, how does he's just gonna get 50? You know what I mean?
He's just gonna get 50.
And it makes sense.
And the other thing, by the way, is if you look from a position perspective, you actually touched on it a little bit. Power forward is not particularly loaded, I don't think.
Point guard and center is loaded.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because I listed my list of top values or whatever. Mm-hmm. And of the top 6 of them, all of them were either centers or point guards. And so yeah, so I do think that Sabonis, from a positional perspective, is gonna work. But just to be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna get there. I don't think he's certainly isn't my favorite play on the board. I just kind of in the mood for game stacky type plays. He's definitely a good play. Play him in cash. I didn't look at the FanDuel pricing on him yet. Actually, I did. And actually, there's a much better play.
It's a much better play because everyone else's price is higher on FanDuel, except for him and Julius Randle, who are both better plays on FanDuel for that reason.
Right.
All right. So do you want to jump over to the next one?
Yeah, sure.
But Sheets, I think it's an interesting point, just a general tournament thing, that when people see prices as being similarly priced on both sides, that's not what's important. It's the price relative to salary and relative to the other players who you're talking about comparing them with. And that's one thing that they stand out on FanDuel more than DraftKings.
Atlanta and Washington. I think that the guy, again, I'm going to have to go for updated projections because I want to see what guys like Rui Hachimura looks like, and I want to see.
I don't think they're going to play. I mean, my guess is they're all going to play minutes, but they won't play a ton of minutes to any of them.
Okay, all right, that's good then, because he was going to be someone I would really probably take a shot with if I.
Yeah, if we hear there's a no minutes limit on him at 4,900, we can definitely play him.
Right, but overall, I think that it's the obvious thing to do here is, well, not particularly obviously, I don't know which one, but is to play Trey with either Beal or Westbrook. I don't know exactly which one I would play. I'll go to my Westbrook whisperer and ask him what he thinks, but that would be you. My instinct is that coming off of, kind of resting a little bit, that he's kind of ready to go. And, I think I'd prefer Westbrook. One thing I noticed about Beal, and maybe he's always like this. So I saw him in his last game where he obviously just went freaking ballistic. Man, he was so frustrated though, man. I mean, like they flashed to him on the bench like so many different times where he was just so over it. You know what I mean? Like, but that doesn't mean he's not trying. He's out there like just filling it up, and but I don't know. So I think that's kind of an obvious thing you could do is play Trey with Westbrook. My favorite, that isn't my favorite. Those are my two favorites, actually. Keep getting this guy's team confused. We're gonna get to that in a minute. But so yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go to the other guys in Atlanta. I don't think I'm gonna do Hunter. What's his name is kind of cheap on FanDuel, as he always is, Herter. So if one of the guys is out, like if Reddish is out somehow or whatever, but even if Reddish isn't out, I mean, Herter's kind of fine. And that's pretty much it. I don't think I'm going to get to Capella, but not going to argue with you. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, this is a weird spot. If we don't have a minutes restriction on Westbrook, so let me just say, Westbrook has been playing hurt all year. In addition to the broken finger in his shooting hand, he's also got the quad issue, and he's never really recovered. He re-aggravated it, and that's coming off of the double COVID stuff, and it's just like a lot of stuff. So if you think he's going to play, but still, I want to also point out that it's been since, and I mean, I know they missed a bunch of games in between, but Washington hasn't scored more than 106 points since January 11th. So when they're jumping against a team that's actually been pretty good defensively to project at 115, just kind of interesting. It sort of makes me like the under in this game as an aside. On DraftKings, Atlanta, Trae Young is just psychotically too cheap for this matchup. But again, so are many other players today. I mean, this guy went 7 for 22 in the last game, put up 56. I know was that an overtime game against Brooklyn? I think it might have been. Yeah. But before that, 51. Before that, 56. Before that, 66. Before that, 55. Before that, 50. So he hasn't scored less than 50 fantasy points in 6 games, and he has the best matchup in basketball. It's hard not to like him. I have him as a priority play. I like Capella a lot. I think that people are maybe not going to go there. Maybe the slightly down game against Brooklyn the other night on the back-to-back, but he had always plays less minutes on the back-to-back, as I pointed out that time too. And I think he got in foul trouble too. Did he foul out or something? He must have in that game.
No,
he didn't. They didn't play in the overtime, huh?
Guess not.
Well, unless he just literally.
I could pull up a popcorn machine,
He
but
might have 5 fouls. No, I'm just curious because it
oh,
is.
he had 2 personal fouls.
So did he get too early and then just sit the entire first half? Like I can't figure out
You
how
know
he
what?
wanted
The good news is we got a little bit of time, so let's
Okay,
find
pull it
this.
up because it's
What
actually
was, what was the date of that game? That was
127.
right here. Okay, so here we go. So where is he? So Clint Capella just did not play, didn't close the fourth quarter, and didn't play the overtime.
Well, that certainly is weird. I mean, it is against a Brooklyn team where
They were small. They played small. They played Collins at the 5. They closed with Hunter, Herter,
yeah,
Young, and Reddish.
yeah, because against the small team that makes sense, and they're playing another small team tonight. So
Well,
okay,
it's kind of weird though.
look,
I'm
plenty
kind
of
of
centers. There's plenty of centers. I like Capella as a maybe a longer shot GPP play than a regular play this week tonight, but I do like him. I like everybody on Atlanta. A big shocker. I want to get exposure to all of these guys. I think they all have ceilings they can get to here, and it's the dream. It's the not matchup. Even DeAndre Hunter's price is not bothering me quite as much, just because the matchup is so good. And I mean, I'm not going to probably play a ton of them, but I do have all of the Atlanta guys on my list, and then there's some of them on FanDuel that stand out. Like Herter is 4.8 on FanDuel. I think you can definitely play him. I think there's a chance that Reddish gets more than the 27 minutes he's projected if he plays. We need to know about whether Rondo plays. That'll open up some more minutes. So we really need to know some more stuff. But in general, the theory is to me play Atlanta. On the other side, it's tough, man. I don't particularly love paying the same for Beal as Jokic. It doesn't seem right. And he's just beneath Luka, and I just, with Westbrook playing, I would love to go Westbrook. I think he's playing for Scott Brooks. He loves Scott Brooks. He knows Scott Brooks is going to be fired. He's trying to play for some pride in Scott Brooks and for Bradley Beal, who he feels bad for. Like, I mean, I think he's trying to do the right thing, but I don't think he's healthy. I don't know if they put another minutes restriction on him. If they do, we can sort of, not think about him as much. He still probably gets there or near there, but if he can play 32 plus minutes, he could be easily, I mean, like, he should be, if this game is reasonably close, in the 50s. He really should be.
I would like to go back, by the way, to this popcorn machine thing for a second, because I was looking at this, and it seems there was a very conscious effort to play small against Brooklyn. And if you look at it,
well, because Brooklyn plays tiny.
No, I know that, but if you look at it, you see Capella first quarter, he checked out after 6 minutes, and Reddish was in. Reddish came in for Capella specifically, and they had Collins at the 5. And then likewise, okay, same thing. Capella was started the third quarter, and Reddish came directly in for him. And they really worked this way. The two of them played together, Capella and Reddish, in the to begin the fourth, right? Yeah. Excuse me, they were both sitting to begin the fourth, getting their rest. Then they both came in, and then they checked out.
I don't
Capella
think
for Collins at the 5.
Yeah, I think we got to treat Brooklyn as a complete aberration.
Yes,
every which way.
Exactly.
But the problem is the closest thing to Brooklyn is Washington.
Right. The only other thing to think about also is that look, this is not a big deal, but Gallinari is back, and while it's only 12, whatever.
No, you're right. You're right. That hurts Reddish.
Yeah.
But I personally think when I watch Reddish play this year, I see a guy who's gotten a lot better, who's going to go out there and try and get shots up. And that's all I can ask for a guy at 4.6. He's a sneaky value. I mean, he was great for me the other day. He put up 37. I know that it was overtime and all that, but he still had, I think he had 30 something in regulation or 30 in regulation or something. Everybody's in play against Washington. There's also, if Westbrook is limited minutes wise, I would take Atlanta to win this game handily. If Westbrook is not, I think that it's a totally different story, but I do like the under.
Okay. You want to move on?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to start off with Milwaukee?
Yeah. So first thing to note, maybe not the first thing to note, but one of the first things to note is we have Drew Holiday going back to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, the numbers don't lie. And New Orleans was playing slow for a while.
No, they aren't.
So this is now, again, just in full disclosure, this is not a projection based play. He's going to project like crap. I mean, he just kind of always does nowadays. But I think Drew Holiday in what could be a sneaky upper, up pace matchup. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a paced up matchup, but it's more up pace than people might think.
The total is pretty similar, but to Atlanta, Washington in this game.
I think that Drew could be a low-owned dude to kind of go after it. Now Giannis is, hey, same reasons. If it's going to be high scoring and Giannis is in the game, I mean, I'm certainly not going to argue with that either. Those are the only two guys. You could always play DiVincenzo, and you could always put DiVincenzo into your FanDuel lineups because he always just kind of just slides right in there, right? I'm no big hurry to put him in, but he's fine. I'm not playing
Cameron Johnson of the shooting guard position,
something like that, exactly. And
you always play him and wonder why.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I'm not going to be playing Lopez, but can't argue with it. But for me, it's Drew would be kind of my Drew and Giannis, and Giannis is certainly the better projected guy, but kind of Drew is kind of the fun guy. And for me, on the other side of the game, so you want guys that can shoot threes against Milwaukee, and you want centers. I don't know.
Kind of centers. Centers is not. You don't really want centers that much.
Well, that seems to be the
That's been the old. That's sort of like the old narrative.
narrative.
I mean, I don't know. To me, I always think of it depends on the center. Like it's a very specific thing because there's guys who get played off the court.
Okay.
Sorry.
So the problem in New Orleans is I don't know who shoots threes for them. So
neither do they. That's the problem.
What? Yes,
that's their problem too.
Therein lies the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem with their team.
So one thing to look for is that if what's his name, if Lonzo is out, then I do think I want to play Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That would be the person I would play. And for what it's worth, my top play on FanDuel at center is Steven Adams.
I knew you were going to say that. I have Steven Adams over there too as one of the plays.
Yeah. And I have to remember he is on New Orleans.
Yeah.
So if New Orleans gets canceled again, I have to take him out of the lineup. He's not on OKC anymore. He's on New Orleans.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I agree with everything you said. Good call on New Orleans now playing faster. But so here's the thing with Giannis is it's hard to, so part of New Orleans defense things, and they actually like haven't been good defensively, but they've been good they've been the worst team against giving up threes in terms of percentage, I believe, or at least they were recently. They pack the paint also like these other teams try to do, like the Knicks try to do, but the Knicks are actually doing successfully. They try to pack the paint on defense, which is sort of takes away a little bit of love for Giannis, not to mention that, well, we always know that everything is there and he's going to put up a ton of, like he hasn't even been great and he's still putting up like 57 and 60, whatever. You're just going to need a lot tonight. And I think that I would rather pay less for Luka. I would rather pay less for Jokic. So that's sort of where I stand on Giannis, but I still have some interest in him, and he might be in a few little mini stacks. I do like Holiday. I don't think he's the exact, I'm going to go back and show him kind of a thing, because it really wasn't that type of situation. And he's not really that, he doesn't play with that type of way exactly.
Right.
And the one thing about this that does stand out though, is that most matchups Holiday has to guard their best player. And Holiday would have to, which would probably mean he would usually match up with Ingram here. The problem is they don't want to put Giannis necessarily, they might put Giannis on Steven Adams, because you don't want to necessarily put Giannis on Zion for too long. It just feels like early on, they always try and keep Giannis out of that early foul trouble because it really limits his game. So I'm just thinking out loud, but I do think that affects things, and maybe Drew has a little more open.
You got to do me a favor. You got to pause this for a second. I'm sorry. I got to take this. Sorry. The guy that wires 500,000 and just kind of gets priorities.
Oh my God. No worries. Wow. That's quite a wiring. Yeah. So anyway, I lost my train of thought. I guess I was talking a little bit too much.
At Zion, they don't want to have Giannis necessarily guarding Zion too soon, too fast.
Yeah. So I do think Drew, with a little bit of I have mild interest in both Zion and Ingram because the prices and the pace. But I actually think that if Lonzo plays, he's a sneaky play, and I kind of like taking the shot on him. I don't know what his status is. If he's out, it does open things up, and I'd have interest in everybody in the backcourt. Including Bledsoe, who I think will be pretty chalky if we get word that ball is out. But I actually, Bledsoe against Milwaukee is really he's the guy I would see taking more advantage of it. You know what I mean? He's the one who they sort of got rid of to try and improve.
Okay.
And he has that sort of, I'll just sometimes decide to take a million shots mentality, and other times he just won't shoot the ball. Like, but if the Minnesota Bledsoe shows up, he could have a monster game. So it's a good pace for him. He's going to want to try and show out. I think they'll try and get him some minutes. And yeah, so I think those guys are all kind of interesting. Bledsoe, Ball, a little bit of Zion and Ingram, but Zion probably is my favorite still, just because I feel like he's a pretty safe 40 as long as the game is reasonably close. And then there's always the 50 to 60 upside that we are expecting to happen at some points.
Okay, do you want to move on?
Yeah, Cleveland, New York. Only 3 players I'm playing in this. Or sorry, there's a lot of things I really like. I love both Sexton and Garland. Big shocker. They're both too cheap. I don't think you should play them together in this matchup, but I think you should play one of them in a lot of your lineups. I'm giving the edge to Garland because of the price. Sexton does have the shooting guard eligibility. There's a lot of good point guards in this slate. And then I'm gonna keep taking little shots on Andre Drummond, who still can't get that 30-minute mark again, but he's still putting up 48, 59. He put up the other day against Detroit.
Crazy, right?
And he's good in these slow down games. And you know what? Like if Larry Nance Jr. is out. I still actually don't mind taking a shot on Drummond even anyway, but I'm not gonna play him as a priority. But it's just one of these days he'll get like 75 or 80 because we keep saying he'll get like 60. He just got like 60 in 28 minutes. So what happens if he gets full minutes? But I love Garland and Sexton. That's the long and short of where I'm at in this game.
Yeah. And anybody on the Knicks?
On the Knicks, I'll go to Randall, who I like a little better on FanDuel, though. I'll tell you who I'll take a shot with against a team that likes to play big. You know my theory. I know the Knicks have multiple big guys, but Mitchell Robinson has been amazing this year in terms of not getting in foul trouble. But if he does, and even if he doesn't, you got Nerlens Noel just putting up good numbers every game. His per minute numbers are incredible. If he gets 22 minutes ever, which is totally possible in a big team matchup, put Noel in your list alongside Whiteside as one of those plays. He's at least going to get the minutes, and he has the upside, so he might be ahead of Whiteside.
That's actually I got to definitely look into that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
For me it's kind of on the boring side. Like Cleveland, I like the same guys that you like. I like with the same trepidations of all of them, right? So I do like Garland and Sexton, and I like you would not put them. I try not to put them together in the same lineup, and I have the same thing about Drummond. I mean, it's he's definitely a play, but then you compare him with, say, I don't know, anybody like Vooch and guys have more guarantee to get them those minutes. It's kind of hard. But I mean, the guy put like 2 fantasy points a minute up, like, you know what I mean? The guy's freaking crazy. So I don't know if I'm going to get there, but I might. With respect, what's his name? It's his out of play now. Going back to New York, Dotson, because what's his name is back, Garland and Twitter. But on the Knicks side, again, this is like really wimping out. I mean, I'll probably, if I play anybody, go with the guys with the minutes, and that for me is Randall and Barrett. I don't think of either of, well, I shouldn't say that. I think that Randall makes my list. I think that in lineups with Sexton, for example, I probably want Randall. So that I would say. And Barrett, I guess same thing. I mean, I do have no problem playing Barrett and Randall together. I think those guys are fine. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I have no problem if I get to a lineup or two with Sexton, with Randall and Barrett or something like that. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd play Randall and Barrett together in a slow matchup, but I understand it. Like they're going to get the usage if the game stays close. But I would be more leaning Garland and Sexton with one of the Knicks or something like that. Potentially even with Drummond too, if we get Larry Nance out.
Before we do the Sacramento-Toronto game, which you could start with, I mean, I wanted to ask your opinion on the spread and on the Sacramento-Toronto game, and I asked for a reason.
Okay, so so you think the spread Toronto should be favored by more?
Well, what is the spread? 6. Oh, Toronto's a 6-point favorite?
5.5.
Toronto's 5. Okay, forget it then. Because it was really weird because I didn't even look at the spread. And when I was listening to one of the shows today, and someone came in and said that Sacramento was like a 1-point favorite or something like that. Right. And I'm like, wait, this is, and I just totally didn't even look it up. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be one of those things where I'm like, this can't be. Toronto should be. I thought Toronto should be like a 4 or 5 point favorite. And then I'm like, I'm gonna ask. I just want to make sure that there's something wrong. I was gonna want to ask Bobby what he thinks of the game. And this is my brain was going. I'm like, I was expecting you to say something like, yeah, Sacramento's a 1 point favorite. That seems about right. I'm like, okay, that's a good reason why I don't want to pile it on Toronto. But because whoever said that Sacramento was a 1 point favorite obviously was hallucinating, then you could just never mind. So Toronto is like a 4 point. I think that's totally efficient. I think it's exactly what this should be, and I have no opinion. But I figured I would ask you.
Yeah,
What is your DFS opinion on this game? And you could start do both teams if you want.
All right, I'll start with Sacramento. Obviously, got to like the game. It's a little hard on DraftKings to play Sacramento at these prices, and it's also like I just want to point out like. So here's the thing about Whiteside. We can just take a look at his track record of games played. The games where he's gotten minutes have been against teams with other true bigs, and he also had a DNP against this team earlier this season. He's an extremely high risk volatile play, more so even than usual. But again, will probably smash if he ever gets in, even in short minutes. I like Bagley. I think that there's still plenty of room at the 58. I feel like 40 is not too far of a reach for him. I know he got played out against Orlando the other night. I didn't remember if that was foul trouble or not, but probably kind of important to figure that one out. He only had 3 fouls, but it could have been early. They had the big lead too, but he played great and he didn't play that many minutes. All right. Anyway, Bagley has been pretty good. I like the matchup for him. Toronto hasn't been playing defense this year. They've just been a gold mine for scoring against production wise. And Bagley, I guess, is my favorite on DraftKings. I have a lot of interest in Fox and Heald, and I have some interest in Halliburton on both sides. I actually like Halliburton a lot. I think he's too cheap. He's getting minutes. The production's going to come and go, but this is the kind of matchup we want distributing guards. And I'm pretty sure the last time we had this matchup with everybody healthy that he went completely nuts. Yeah, he had 37.5, which we would be very happy with. So I like Halliburton and Bagley the best on DraftKings, Fox and Heald the best on FanDuel. On the Toronto side, I love all the big three in Toronto, and honestly, Lowry might be the least interesting on, I don't know what site, maybe, I don't know, FanDuel, because there's other point guards, but also Van Vliet's more expensive. So I have interest in all of these guys. I will be ahead of the field on all of them. I promise you that. You know my theory about Sacramento. Somebody has the ceiling game. In this case, I wouldn't be surprised if 2 of them did. I think Siakam and Van Vliet are my favorites on DraftKings. Siakam and Lowry, just because Van Vliet's more expensive on FanDuel, but really it's really close. And then if you want to get weird at center, you could take a long shot at Chris Boucher, but I probably won't do that unless Anunoby's out.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. So Anunoby being out, well, what do we think for openers? He's questionable. What about Norman Powell?
Yeah, I know. And I think that he'll be more popular than he probably you still okay. So all the other situations, most of where Powell's been going off have had Siakam out, have had Siakam and Anunoby out, have had Lowry out, have had Van Vliet out. Like those are most of the times where he's really crushed. At this price, I think you can still play him, but I don't think that he's this like knockdown play that other people might think. I do think he's worthwhile in tournaments, but if he's like 25% or something, I don't know if he will be, but what's his, he does have a ceiling, but it takes a lot for him to get there. And they have other guards. It probably hurts Lowry and Van Vliet a little bit, to be honest, if Anunoby's out, because that'll give more minutes to Powell, who's another creator. And he is jacking up shots. He's taking 18, 19, and 13. And he's also shooting pretty hot. The usage is reasonably high with him. He's in play. He's definitely one of them in play. I guess in some ways he would be, he'd be a better play than Boucher, but I still think that Boucher is going to come back with one of those games. Yeah, probably he's a better play than Boucher. I should take Boucher out.
Yeah. So here's we're a little bit. I have to say maybe a lot different on this game. We'll see. So I think this game is just the ultimate perfect game to play. From at least from the Toronto side.
How are we different?
Well, because I think that Lowry's like a lock.
No, I love Lowry. I mean, I've got.
Oh, I thought you said you have less interest in Lowry than the other guys. Oh, okay.
I'll tell you why I have less. Well, just real quick, just before you go into your Lowry thing. So Lowry keeps playing all these minutes and basically has gotten there twice in like a million games, and he's not shooting the ball as much. Even when he shoots, it's taken nights where he shot the ball really, really well to get him past 40. And even the last game where he played well, there's just so much creating going on elsewhere. So I think Lowry is the one who hinges the most on Anunoby because Van Vliet gets his shots up every game. Well, Lowry and Siakam. Van Vliet's going to get his shots up either way. The problem is when you add Norman Powell into it, then all of a sudden the usage for Lowry starts dropping. I just want to throw that out there. His usage has been in the teens lately, where he's in the high 20s earlier in the season.
So just to give you a kind of an idea. So I think of the top 10 values on like the whole slate, I think 3 of them are Lowry, Van Vliet, and Siakam, right? So it's not like I don't like Van Vliet or Siakam. And if I had it in me, I would play all 3 of them. That's really difficult to do, just because of the way touches correlate and stuff like that. But we've been targeting Sacramento as long as we've been doing these videos. And, this is a perfect year to do it. And considering also that Toronto, as you've been kind of getting into, is kind of sneaky fast also. I think this game is one you're going to have to force your way in. And yes, I definitely want to look at Anunoby, the Anunoby being out. The only guy I won't play, and I said it like many days in a row, is Boucher. I think he sucks, and I'm just not playing. On the Sacramento side, I agree with you completely that it's harder to find guys on DraftKings than it is on FanDuel. My favorite guy is the one that you mentioned. I don't know if it's your favorite, but I like Halliburton probably the best of all of them, just from a price perspective. I'm on DraftKings at 4,800, but it is kind of hard if you are gonna play like kind of multiple Torontos to not play Fox. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of hard to not play somebody else from Sacramento. And then, well, I shouldn't say my favorite guy.
Even if Fox goes off, Trae Young or one of the other guys still can outscore him. So
absolutely.
You can stack against him without taking the ring back.
Yeah. But the guy I really want to play, and again, this is not, like I said, this is high risk, maybe high reward. I know it's not the greatest, setup matchup, but I'm getting Whiteside at 3K. I know what his ceiling is. And you get the extra benefit of having kind of a pivot off of what's going to be a chalky Zeller as a center punt. So I'm just gonna play him, I think, and just kind of let it roll. I agree with you. I'm not as much into Powell at 6,300. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy to have. When he's 4,900 and then someone gets ruled out, you eat the chalk and he gets his 40 fantasy points.
Or when he's 200 and he's 2% owned or something, but not going to be double-digit ownership.
Right. I agree with that. So I think this is for me. And when I said this is obviously the game that everybody's going to target, that's what I would imagine. Unless we there obviously another game we're going to get to later. But to me, this is like kind of the obvious one. So I'm going to probably just play the obvious guy.
Yeah, I love all the guys. I'm with you. And while we expect them they always have less ownership than everybody thinks they're going to have, just so you know.
Okay.
Keep an eye on Anunoby too. That's a big difference. That just boosts up the other guys a little bit. So it boosts up Siakam, but it doesn't necessarily boost up Van Vliet and what's it called as much because
no, definitely. I wouldn't say it does. I just kind of like them, anyway.
No, but it affects. I think it affects Siakam, and I think it affects obviously Boucher. I know you don't want to hear that, but
no, I do want to hear that. I mean, I definitely want to hear that.
All right. So do you want to move on to the next one? This is a fun one too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because if Embiid is ruled out, which I think it's I don't say likely, but I think it's possible. I think it's better than 50% actually, but we'll see. If they rule him out, I think that Simmons is a tremendous play at DraftKings at 7,700, considering you can slide him into the small forward position for openers. And I think that if Embiid plays, I think you could play Simmons at much lower ownership anyway. I really like him at 7,700 in that small forward spot on DraftKings. So he's my favorite, regardless of from Philly, regardless of whether Embiid plays or not. But if he doesn't play, I find it difficult to believe that Simmons isn't. They don't blast him in the ownership projections. The other guys that, again, this is more if Embiid is out type of thing, is maybe your man, maybe Shake Milton, or maybe the obviously more obvious, but maybe you could play Seth Curry at 4,400. So those guys I kind of like. I have a question. Okay, so here's another thing. Let's talk about the obvious one if Embiid is out. Without looking, I know it's hard not to look, okay? But how many minutes do you think Dwight Howard played the other day when Embiid was out?
Well, I know how that game played, so that's
No, just I understand. Just give me a number.
I think it was, what did he end up with, 16?
Okay, so all people remember was that he was benched, that he didn't come out for the third quarter, he busted. He still played 24 minutes.
24 minutes, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what the surprising thing. Like, as I was watching at the end of the day, I'm like, I got screwed. I played Dwight Howard. He only played 14. He didn't. He played 24 minutes. I mean, I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean?
I think you're getting the games mixed up. I think that it was the first game against Detroit. Yeah, it was.
Sure?
Yeah, the first game against Detroit where he only played the 12 minutes. And then the next game against Detroit, yeah, because
no, this one right here, the January 25th.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was the back-to-back.
Yeah.
That's really weird. Yeah.
Yep.
Embiid did.
Yep.
Oh, Embiid did play the first one. Okay, that makes sense. So then you're making a good point.
Yeah, and people say, oh, Bradley overruled him. Bradley did this. Bradley did. He still played 24 minutes. He just didn't do it. You know, he just didn't do enough. You know, so I'm just saying that if Embiid is out, I'm just saying that Dwight Howard ain't no lock. I'll just put it that way.
I thought you were going to say he is a lock because the minutes are more secure. I'm totally confused.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that he's not, well, no, I was going to say the opposite. I was going to say that he's just maybe just not that good. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. It's so funny because I thought you were going from the different angle.
So I think that if Embiid's out, I think they're going to blast him again. I really do. I think they're going to play all the Dwight Howard. I think it's fine. I mean, but I would rather play, oh boy, and I'll take
Howard over Zeller.
So now there'll be Zeller and Howard, and now we'll get Whiteside at 1%. Uh-oh.
Whiteside won't be 1%. He'll be 0.5% no matter what. Nobody's considering Whiteside. Literally.
Oh, really? All right.
Oh, yeah. He's not. There's. Why would he be in play, especially tonight? Like I mentioned him the other night for a very specific reason because they were going against Vucevic. Like there's a chance Whiteside plays 15 minutes tonight. There's a chance Whiteside plays 0 minutes tonight. A very good. He's not played in a majority of these games.
Yeah, the amount of minutes he plays,
I guess, for 1 or 2.
The amount of minutes he plays is inversely correlated to how many fantasy points I have going into that game.
Okay, so I would just be careful with Whiteside.
If I'm in a position to win, you know he's scoring 6 fantasy.
Look, I love, yeah, you know me. I love playing Whiteside and guys like that who know what plays the ceiling and stuff. But like, you're probably almost as good off with Boban tonight.
So we'll get to that too. So let me. I guess I'll finish the game. So Minnesota, I'll never get this right. I mean, what's his name? Finally had a good game, Edwards. But he's always in a position to have a good game because he's always going to be chucking. He's always shooting. Always going to ABC. Always be chucking. Right.
Right.
So I guess he's fine. I guess Naz Reid on FanDuel, I guess, was okay. I don't like anybody in Minnesota. I have this McDaniels guy just kind of jammed into this lineup here just because he was 3,200. I needed to throw somebody in there, but I don't know what to do with Minnesota. You play Rubio? I don't know.
Well, no, we don't know about D'Angelo Russell yet. So.
Oh, okay. I'm just presuming he was out.
If we assume he's out, I think we have to take a look at Malik Beasley again.
Oh, okay.
Especially because we like the other side, and Malik Beasley's been pretty good. You know what I mean? 37, 41. Not a huge thing there, but we've seen people just completely go off against Philly, and he fits the bill of the kind of guy who could. As does Anthony Edwards. If there's no D'Angelo, but I think Edwards is actually trending minutes in the right direction anyway. And again, he's a chucker. Yep. Yeah, probably a better play on FanDuel where not everyone's underpriced at different positions over here. I do like Vanderbilt a little bit.
Okay.
I like him better if Embiid is out. And I think he's pretty much going to get these 24 to 28 minutes a game. And I think that his price and his point per dollar production against the Philly team without Embiid should surpass that 5,100 pretty easily. It's just a matter of, is he the best play? Are there other plays? And again, not a lot of value at power forward, so is kind of a guy I'm looking at. And then Rubio will play some of if we have no Russell. I will play a little bit of Russell on FanDuel if he does play.
What do you think about Philly?
I love Embiid if he plays. I think that he is going to put up 55 in his sleep. And I love that Philly has trouble blowing people out because it makes me, I mean, look, you're going to have a hard time getting me not to play Ben Simmons tonight.
Yep.
It's rough. Even with Embiid, I'm still interested in Simmons. I actually been playing Simmons a little bit on FanDuel too. I mean, there is massive upside for him against these guys. I mean, he just put up 51 against the Lakers the other night, 48 a couple nights before against Detroit. He's going to put up 40 here almost always, I feel like. And then, of course, there's 65, 70 upside against the best, along with the Wizards and Kings, maybe the best matchup in basketball. So I love Ben Simmons. I like Tobias Harris, too. You can get off shots anywhere you want against this team. I don't love, he never feels right for big slates to me, but I do think he's in play on both sides tonight. And I like a little bit of Seth Curry and Shake Milton if we get no Embiid.
Okay, sounds good.
And by the way, and I will play Dwight over Zeller if we have no Embiid and Dwight starting.
If Dwight is starting and Zeller is starting, you'd play Dwight over Zeller.
It's not even like
and it's not even remotely close. Okay.
I don't find it close personally. I understand the risk that comes with Dwight Howard. The guy isn't lead the league in technicals.
Dwight, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
He's just an idiot, but like he's also going to go out there and rebound like a monster. If he plays normal minutes, he'll get 14 rebounds. So you're already there with rebounds alone. Usually, it didn't work against the other night, but in general, usually he gets there.
Okay.
Move on.
Brooklyn OKC. So I like a couple of things from this game. And they're actually both on the OKC side. I think I like Shea a little bit on FanDuel. I think I have to look at it again. But my favorite play is Maladon with Hill out. He's only 3,400.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying. But the other guy I like is also on FanDuel. Actually, I think on my shell lineup there, I think I have Baisley in here also. So so I like Shea and I like Baisley. It'll be be a tough match, be a tough game, but the Brooklyn really haven't blown anybody out yet. So maybe they hang around, maybe they hang in there in a fast-paced matchup. Maybe Shea and Baisley kind of do it. I didn't quite get to the other guys. I didn't quite get to the Dorts and the Diallos and whatever. I don't know. That's just where I'm at.
Okay, so on the Brooklyn side, this is another great matchup, obviously, because Brooklyn plays, no defense and plays faster than anybody. So I don't love. I have interest in taking one of the Brooklyn guys.
So you want to talk about the narrative? You want to talk about the narratives?
Yeah, going back to OKC, Harden, KD. I think KD is the better play on DraftKings. Harden's the better play on FanDuel. And then I also like Kyrie's price. I just think these guys, like the way they play, it's not like they just have ceilings because they're all great. First of all, they can all get going and put up 25 regular points in a quarter. Like that kind of great. The matchup is not what you dream about or anything. They seem to be a little bit lost at times offensively. Harden may have found something a little bit in that overtime, that last game, and I think might carry it over. So I just want to sort of take some stabs at them and sort of rotate them in and out of a few lineups. I'm not like crazy about them. I just think that they're interesting. And I do like Maladon. I always get like, I just want to put like the cautionary stuff. Like he had this situation the other night, he put up 17, he put up 24 and played more minutes against Phoenix the other night. I would imagine he'd end up somewhere in between that. Somewhere around 20 to 26 minutes, but it could go to other guys. So just be aware of it. The guy who I think's kind of interesting against Brooklyn here is maybe Al Horford.
Don't laugh because, I brought him up the other day and I really almost played him at like 0% ownership. I mean, and he was awesome. Coming off of like a couple of weeks not having played, so
Yeah, I think all of the OKC guys are guys I want to take stabs at because they're all too cheap for the upside, including Diallo and Dort, Baisley. But then Horford is the other one that could put up a real number that I'm interested in. And I just think they all have the upside in this kind of a matchup. This is what's going to be. Dort's going to play until he fouls out of this game, is my guess, because he's by far their best defender. They actually match up pretty well defensively with this team, but
maybe Horford's the idea.
Horford or Baisley.
Yeah, he's my FanDuel guy, Baisley.
Yeah, he works over here too.
Yeah. And actually, you know what? I have to say on DraftKings, what's name is better than I let on. I do like Diallo.
Yeah, I just think he's interesting. Speculative. It's annoying that they'll never, no matter how well he's playing, let him close a game. It really bothers me. But also those guys are going to get blowout run. I don't know. Some of it'll be Maledon and him together. Some of it'll be just one of them. But Baisley will probably play his normal 30 minutes no matter what.
Yep.
Anyway, all right, Clippers in Orlando.
Yeah, kind of site specific as it is with this guy all the time. Honestly,
Reggie Jackson.
That too, actually. So two of them, two kind of elitish FanDuel plays. One is as you mentioned, Reggie Jackson at point guard, and the other is Aaron Gordon at power forward. On DraftKings, he's certainly not as good. He's kind of okay on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, he's really, really cheap. So those are the two guys on FanDuel that would be Reggie Jackson and whoever I just said, and Aaron Gordon. And I didn't think that I was going to do too much else. You know who else I liked on FanDuel actually was Batum a little bit, and I didn't get too excited about much of anything else. I mentioned him before, I guess. Vooch is fine on DraftKings. Yeah, I guess Vooch is fine. So for me, Vooch, Gordon on Orlando, Reggie Jackson and Batum on Clippers.
Yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. I do like Vooch a lot.
Okay.
I also think that Serge Ibaka is going to have a sneaky good game here, and no one's going to play him. He hasn't taken that many shots as I thought he. Well, actually, he's taken more shots than he had all season. But that's because these guys are out. I don't see why they wouldn't keep going back to him, and I also think that he's got more upside than what he's shown if they just give him that extra couple minutes. And I know it sounds like they're just going to keep it. There's no reason they have to just keep him at 28. He could play more minutes. It's his old team. So I like Ibaka as maybe a long shotty play or an unowned play. Imagine he's played against Vooch a million times before in practice and stuff. So I like Aaron. I don't like Aaron Gordon. I will play Aaron Gordon in this matchup some.
Okay.
I'm going to play him on FanDuel some, and I just feel gross about it. But I think Vooch is my favorite play in this game.
Okay. So
I love Reggie Jackson on FanDuel, Batum on FanDuel also. A little bit on DraftKings, but more on FanDuel.
So San Antonio and Denver for me is actually pretty easy. Maybe it is for everybody. So there's two plays from each side that I think just really, really stand out. One, on the San Antonio side is DeJounte Murray and DeMar DeRozan. I think they're gonna. I would imagine they'd be popular. I can't see why they wouldn't be. I mean, they're both really cheap. I like. I don't know which one I like more. I'd play them both. I mean, honestly, DeJounte Murray and DeRozan. I think I have them really equal. I would say that because of the point guard position. I mean, I can't have it both ways, right? I can't say he's tremendous play point guard and then get worried about the point guard position, right? I mean, maybe he's one of the reasons why the point guard position play is good. But I think that being able to put DeRozan into the forward positions maybe gives him an edge, I guess. I don't know, but I like them both. And then on the Denver side, I like Jokic at center. Not that anybody can guard him, but I don't know. I just think that he could kill here. And the other one is Will Barton. I mean, he's 4,300. I mean, I kind of just don't want to hear it. I mean, he's gonna play 25 minutes. I mean, maybe more if he's playing well. I don't know. I know that Porter's back, and it makes it a little harder for him to get a ceiling. But I mean, he's been active all season. Maybe without even looking, maybe he's had some bad games. Is that why he's down in price? I mean, I can imagine
25 once in 4 games only.
Yeah, I suppose, but I don't know, man. I mean,
they don't have. So let's talk about it. So PJ Dozier's not there, which is why his minutes projection is not even a little lower than maybe it would be, because he only played 20, but he only played 21 minutes the other night. Okay. So I don't think it's a guarantee that he plays 25 minutes at all. I think they could play Monty Morris. But I do have some interest in him as value, but I don't know where I'll end up with him. I do like him. Jokic is ridiculously priced. It's look, so Jokic basically, you get the bad matchups, and that Dallas game was just a weird game. Like it didn't matter like what they were doing. Just every time they'd come back down, Luka would hit a 3 or score and 1 or something. But Jokic has still put up in his last however many games, 67, 64, 72, 56, 62, 66, and then he had the 43 and 42. Let's not forget about Jokic at 10-1, guys. It seems like a little bit crazy, not to mention it's a really good matchup. I like Jokic a bunch, and he is my favorite play in this game. I will have the tiny bit of Jamal Murray shares and some Barton on that side, because I definitely want to play the San Antonio guys. I like all of them. I'll play DeJounte Murray and DeRozan are 2 of my favorite plays, obviously, on the slate. I don't think that I'm getting too creative with that. I am very happy to go take a shot on LaMarcus Aldridge at 5,500.
There you go.
57 on FanDuel. Worked out for me great so far when I've done it. It's been only twice that I've done it, and he put up 32 and 43 at this price. Or no, it was what was it at this price? It was 29 and 30. Either way, it's still it's good enough. He's priced well enough, and again, a pretty decent-ish matchup. Should be a competitive enough game. The guy who I'm not getting to a ton of is Keldon Johnson, but I don't think he's a bad play either. I just like these other guys. I like Lonnie Walker or Vassell. You don't play them together, obviously. But Lonnie Walker's minutes have been there. The production's hit or miss. I'll take it at 4,100, 4K on DraftKings. If we're going to take the minutes upside versus maybe the player upside, but doesn't Lonnie Walker have the same kind of thing as Will Barton in some sense? Because Will Barton is now current in their same exact position, shooting guard, small forward. Will Barton is now basically with all the other guys. He doesn't really run the point anymore with Jamal Murray and Porter and all that stuff. So it's a different game. So I like Walker and I like Vassell. Kevin Durant is out tonight, by the way. So we're going to have to go back to that Brooklyn game when we're done.
Well, I mean, not going to take a genius, right? So if Durant is out.
Well, let's just go back to it at the end. Let's just wait as long as.
Yeah, okay. We only got a couple more games anyway.
Yeah, I think we only have one more.
Okay. So I guess that was it from that game. So Dallas, Utah. Here's the problem. Well, the problem is I don't. So the thing is that you can make a real good case for why you'd want to play Boban, but they just played this game and he played 3 minutes. I don't know what. Who
won the game?
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm serious. That sometimes makes something. It makes a difference.
Yeah. Not only who won the game, but maybe I'm going to get the games confused, but no, it's a different game. No, it was not a different game. Gobert also went freaking ballistic.
He went absolutely nuts.
Yeah. So if you got Boban on your line on your bench and you're going against the guy who just put up 20 rebounds against you the day before, I don't know. I would take a shot.
Keith, what if we get the sneaky late game start? Like it starts after so much after every other game. And what if Boban gets the sneaky late game start?
Dude, they don't even laugh. That's a tremendous idea.
I mean, no, because what you do is you play him with somebody else. And if he's not starting or if he is, depending on how your lineup's doing, you make the 2v2 switch. Because there are a lot of other playable guys in this game. Gobert being an obvious one.
Well, we'll start with Dallas. As always, Luka's a good play. I like Luka. I prefer Jokic if you have to make a decision. But you're not gonna. I mean, like, certainly nothing wrong with Luka. I guess you could try to play them both if you want to try that. Certainly, I mean, you could do it. It's not ain't a lot of fun, but you could do it. And that's it for Dallas. You like anything on Dallas except for Luka?
Yeah, Kristaps.
Oh, I forgot. Okay.
You know my thing with him. Not a great matchup. He got in foul trouble the other night, which sort of affected his whole game. But because of it, he still played 32 minutes in this game. So I'm going to give him a little bump up to 34 minutes, which is what I think we more likely see from him. And I'm going to give Luka a bump up to 37 because it's getting to that point where these teams need to start winning some basketball games. They're 7-10 or somewhere around there, I believe. They need to win some basketball games, and they got beaten up by Gobert and then the other night without Mitchell. We don't know about Mitchell coming yet, so it's going to be that's a tough one. But yeah, the Boban shot, you just take a wild card shot. You don't play a bunch of it. You throw one lineup in with it or something like that, where you can do a 2v2 swap if you want to. Josh Richardson should start getting more minutes again, which is going to take away from Finney Smith and all the guys we don't care about. But Josh Richardson, when he plays enough minutes, can be at least a source of value at 4.3 that, is not so different than Barton in my belief. A little bit worse, but not terribly different. At very little ownership, obviously. But it's Luka and Kristaps for me there. And then on the other side, we have to know about Donovan Mitchell. Yep. But if he's out, I don't mind the price. I'll go back to Clarkson. I'll go back to Conley. Gobert, though, is and Ingles. But the name of the game is Gobert here. It's tough to argue against him. What are we thinking? Like, he has to get in foul trouble for him not to get there? Like, I don't honestly see a path where he doesn't, right, Sheets?
No, I disagree. I just again,
we haven't seen it yet.
What?
We haven't seen him not get 40 plus in a non-blowout game. And the only time that was close-ish was the Denver game where he was in foul trouble against Jokic. He put up 37. So, like, what do you like? His realistic median here should be, to me, about 43, 44, maybe a little higher. And that just makes him like a great player.
Just coming off, stupid me, coming off basically a career game.
Ignore all the Clippers stuff, by the way. It looks like Paul George and Kawhi are playing today.
Thank God.
It's actually kind of fun. Okay.
Thank God I don't have to make an excuse for fading Reggie Jackson anymore.
Now you want him as a contrarian, right?
Right. Now I don't have to. This is so good. Now I don't have to play Nick Batum.
That is good.
This is all good news. And also, the other bit of good news is that that's not the best news. Did I even like anybody in Orlando? Oh, Aaron Gordon. Well, there's more blowout risk in there now, but that's okay. Yeah, I think Gobert's definitely the only argument I'll make against Gobert is that it takes up a center spot. But maybe he's the priority. Maybe you're supposed to play him before the other guys. Maybe it's everybody else who you shouldn't play because of the center spot should be taken up by Gobert. Maybe that's a very reasonable point.
Yeah.
But I kind of like your idea of, dude, I'll tell you this. I mean, like I'm a coach, and if I'm playing a team who had a guy that destroyed me the game before, I'm playing him literally like an hour later, which is essentially what this is the equivalent of. The first thing I'm doing is doing whatever possible to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So I'm throwing Boban. I'm doing something. That's my number one. It's literally the number one priority. And you shouldn't even need to do that. Maybe that's like being recency bias. You should just kind of like not worry about that. But I know it's human instinct. I mean, you want to do that. You can't let that. You can't. Let's just say that they do the exact same thing, and Gobert goes off again. I mean, what did the guy say at the press conference? Like, did you not watch the game before?
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? So even for job preservation or whatever, you probably should do something.
I don't think Rick Carlisle's worried about job preservation.
No, I know, but he
might be the best coach, yeah. But I hear you. I do think that the Brooklyn news is something we should get to. So that just means we're playing Harden or Kyrie. That's simple as that.
And Harden on FanDuel.
A lot. And Harden on FanDuel is kind of crazy now. Yeah. But again, not the greatest matchup. There's other routes. I'm just throwing it out there. But like, again, this is now going to be a stars and scrubsy thing that people are going to be desperate.
Is there any sneakiness? Is there any other nets that get into play now?
I mean, nothing. They're not like priced well. Like DeAndre Jordan will get more minutes because without Durant, they can't go small ball 5 as easily. They can use Jeff Green to do it some, and they've been sort of hesitant. They've been giving Perry like just his 12 minutes basically. But none of these guys are priced at prices you want to play them. Joe Harris is already in play on FanDuel at 4,700. That's
Okay.
pretty legit.
By the way, I mean, I always bring up his name because this is what we used to talk about when Nets guys were out. I got to link it to you. For those of you who want to just search for it, there's a really, really great article out on Karis LeVert. So apparently that this trade may have almost saved Karis LeVert's life.
I know, it's incredible.
Oh, you read about that? Yeah.
I knew the story. I didn't.
Oh, I didn't. You know, I didn't really get through it all. That this was a condition that was going to be left untreated, you know, until it maybe killed him, and only because the trade, I guess, that put him had to go through extensive, you know, physicals and stuff, that they even caught it, which is really amazing. I mean, I think. So anyway, unfortunately, LeVert cannot play because these guys are out because he's no longer on the team, and he can't play anyway. But yeah, I think Harden is now kind of I don't want to say a lock, but it's going to be a tough fade on FanDuel. And I guess we always have to ask this question. I mean, can you play the two of them together? Probably not, right?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
But I don't think you have to. I mean, it's not a great matchup anyway.
The other thing it does is it brings Shea himself a little more into play because it does reduce the blowout risk somewhat.
100%.
You know, so I will say that.
Totally agree with that.
And
all right, real quick, do you want to let's highlight something real quick because I've got to run in just a minute.
I'll throw a couple of things on FanDuel. How about that?
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, I can go by positions if you want to. I mean, I've got my stuff ready.
Yeah, go for it.
You just say who you like or whatever. All right. So my highest owned point guards currently are Kyrie Irving, Darius Garland. Not that one. This is why it's good. You catch your little mistakes in your programs. No longer Reggie Jackson, who I'm now Xing out of my player pool.
Thank God.
Kyle Lowry, De'Aaron Fox, and well, it depends on Conley, the situation down there.
Dude, I mean, if for those of you that don't know how I play by now, I mean, like for you guys not to know what I'm doing at point guard, it's like you guys should all be ashamed of yourself. There's going to be like the only way I won't play Lowry and Fox is if I play Fox and Lowry. Like that's literally my only two choices. Now that Reggie Jackson's out of my life over there, it's and yeah, Luka's certainly going to be the highest scoring player. Okay, but I will be playing Lowry and Fox.
Is Reggie Jackson actually a tournament play? We should actually just think about it. We'll talk about that one later.
Yeah, you can't because he's out of your player pool. Can't put him in your. Can't put him in there. All right. If I had to go outside of the realm of the Fox Lowry, sure, Luka.
Sheets, I got to pause for 1 second.